guys, welcome back to a channel where we talk about things. My name is Katie and I'm a wedding photographer here in the lovely state of North Carolina. And today I wanted to do a quick story time about my first wedding that I photographed. My lens is really dirty. So if you've been here on my channel for a minute, you'll know that my goal for 2021 was to do 6 weddings. Ow, I just pulled my hair. And last year in 2020, I was primarily a second photographer, so it was a lot of more pressure this time. So when I'm filming this would be a week ago. I wanted to film it so I remember like all the details and I don't forget, but by the time I'm posting this, it'll probably be like a month later. The wedding was in February and pretty much in North Carolina, the past couple weeks, maybe even the past month, it's just been really cold and really rainy, but not snowing. So it's cold and muddy and gross outside. Anyway, so this wedding definitely had its challenges because of the weather. Venue was also really dark, so it was kind of like the dark venue plus it was like rainy and gross outside together, kind of made it difficult. But I'm gonna start from the beginning. I booked this couple back in the summer and I was super open with them about, not being very experienced as a wedding photographer. I have photography experience, but not in weddings, but I had at that time a wedding booked, but it got canceled. I was just really open and honest with them, and that's why my prices were so low, and they seemed really fine with it. I had a conversation, like before they booked with me, we had a phone conversation and we kind of went over everything, and I just tried to make them feel as comfortable as possible, but I think I still was very honest with them. So I definitely don't believe in a fake it till you make it kind of situation. Like if this is your first wedding or you're a newer photographer, I say be open and honest about it, especially if they ask, because the worst thing for me is to deliver pictures and then them not like it. But now they know, this was like my first real wedding, so then they're more understanding, you know what I mean? I was very open and honest with them. We did their engagement photos late summer. It was very hot. So they loved their engagement photos, which I was really happy about. So I think they felt a bit more comfortable going into the wedding, which is why I love to do engagement photos before the wedding. I get to talk to the couple and they get to talk to me. We get almost like a preview of my work with the engagement session, so they can, if they don't like the engagement pictures, they could have just moved on to another photographer, if we're not a go fit. Everything was fine, so we planned for their wedding in February. We thought it was gonna snow. We were hoping it was gonna snow. It didn't. I was looking at the forecast leading up to the wedding, and at first it didn't look like it was gonna rain, but then like the day before the wedding, it was like 100% chance of rain the next day. So I went ahead and bought 3 clear umbrellas. I ended up just using one, and I'll try and put in photos from the wedding like throughout this video. I ended up just using one clear umbrella just for the bride and groom. So we just went outside for a little bit, did a couple photos with them, but I know I'm gonna keep them and use them long term, so I don't regret purchasing 3. I will probably end up purchasing more here and there, but I did contact the venue and they didn't have any, so definitely make sure if a wedding you're gonna do, if it's gonna rain, ask the venue because they might have some clear umbrellas or just umbrellas in general or a covered place where you can go. So just ask, and like usually venues have coordinators or a contact there and you can just reach out to them. That's what I did. So I bought those and prepped that night, got my chargers, got my batteries charged. I formatted my memory cards. I did all of that, put new batteries in my flashes, just totally prepared. I got my dual camera strap that I mentioned in a previous video that I got. So I was all prepped and ready to go. I got there 30 minutes early, which I just suggest you do. You never know what the traffic situation will be like, and you never know if something happens to your car. Always plan to be early to a wedding. I mean, I am early to a wedding or an engagement shoot, and it gives me time to relax, get the detail shots, just walk around the venue, get the lay of the land. It just allows for that to happen. Something else to note is that in this wedding, I did contract a second photographer that I knew. So I did have some support that day, actually a lot of support. She was amazing. So I met up with her and I went around and introduced her to everybody, and we walked around the venue and I told her it's pretty dark and it was. I'll try and put pictures in this video of how dark the venue is, and it's pretty difficult when you have a specific style. So I prefer natural light and a brighter, more vibrant editing style, and then some people have a darker, or I don't know what they're called, more darker style, maybe even dark and moody, or like that vintage look, and this wedding venue would have been perfect for that. So it's a little bit difficult going into a dark venue situation and just knowing that your pictures aren't gonna be super bright, you know what I mean? So we were just trying to figure out where can we go for groomsmen, bridesmaids, after the ceremony, where are we gonna go to get the rest of the family with them together? Where are we gonna go to bridal portraits? We figured all this out because we got there 30 minutes early, and we also, with my wedding timeline, I allotted 30 minutes for details. So we got to walk around, do some detail shots, and it definitely calmed my nerves, okay? So something that happened, I mentioned this is a really dark venue. My flash, so I have two flashes. One just decided to like not work the day before the wedding, but we kind of hit it a couple times and then it turned on and it was working just fine. But the day of the wedding, it was going in and out and in and out pretty much all day. That was fun. So it was really nerve-wracking. I did have another flash, so I did use that flash primarily throughout the day, but I mentioned in a previous video, I have the dual camera straps. I had both cameras. I wanted both flashes on both cameras, and one just was giving me a hard time. So you definitely get what you paid for. It was only like 40 bucks. I've only had it for, I don't know, maybe 2 years, I don't know. So I don't know if it's just being funny right now and eventually it'll be fine, but I'm glad I at least have the backup one. So definitely have a backup flash, backup camera, backup lenses, backup memory cards, like always have backups for things. Yeah, that happened. My flash just worked half the time. So during the ceremony, I actually made the bold decision to not shoot with a flash. One great thing about having a second photographer is she shot with the flash and then I didn't. So she had her on-camera flash and I just bumped up my ISO, okay? So I really do like how the pictures turned out. It's definitely darker for my style, but I did the best I could, you know? So I definitely like the way they turned out, but I also like the way hers turned out with the flash as well. So it's really just like based on your personal preference, like what you want your style to be. So there's that. The ceremony, everything was fine. Beforehand, everything was fine. It was just the primary concern was how dark it was. But luckily we did get to take the boys outside. So my second photographer took the boys outside. I did the bridesmaid portraits inside in this room that had just was like a wall of windows, which was fantastic for us. So we did all of that and it was really fine. We got to the ceremony. Everything kind of went smoothly. We were ahead of schedule because I had a second photographer there. I think if I hadn't had a second photographer there, I might have been like stressing more, running back and forth. But she was there. I trusted her completely to do all of the groom and the groomsmen pictures and his family while I just hung out with the bride and her family. After the ceremony, going into the family portrait section, I didn't really receive any controlling parents or anything. Everyone was really helpful. I had a list of everybody that needed to be in the pictures, and that's something I send as soon as someone books with me. I send them a questionnaire, what your family members you want in family portraits, so I have a list and their name so I can call out their names, which is really, really helpful. The only thing is I got a comment about grandma, about adding someone into the picture, but I was like, oh yeah, they'll be there in a minute. It was fine, it wasn't a big deal. But I know some weddings, and I actually have a wedding coming up later this summer where she said that I think it's someone in the family is really overbearing when it comes to pictures. So that'll be fun. But for the most part, it was fine. And the couple, we walked around, we went outside for a little bit, but it was really cold. It wasn't pouring down rain, which was good, but it was really cold. So we were only out there for a little bit before, she was like, no, I'm too cold. I need to go inside. And I get it, girl, I get it. I'm really glad that we did have the clear umbrella because we got a shot that I made black and white, and I really, really like this picture. I don't know why, I just love it. It's probably one of my favorite that I took that day. Another really great thing about this wedding is although the venue's really dark, they did set up a tent right outside. It's kind of like a patio, and then they set up the tent on the patio that was white. So all of those pictures are a lot brighter. We were both, my second photographer and I have very similar styles, which is why I contracted with her, and we both were like, yes, it's a white tent. Like, we're so pumped about it. And yeah, everything again was really, really fine. But one thing, like throughout the reception, we were just kind of documenting the day. We did get dinner. This was an 8-hour day, so I in my contract that I need to be provided dinner, or it is understood that I will go out and get dinner somewhere. Luckily for us, like, dinner was provided, and so we told her our orders beforehand. So we did get to sit like upstairs in this conference room and eat dinner, and it was so nice. It was so nice. And the food was really delicious. That was also one thing I wanted to add is make sure you eat dinner, or like make sure you have in your contract that dinner has to be provided for you, because I mean, we were there for 8 hours. That's all day, okay? So after that, the reception is mostly just documenting things that are happening. The DJ was super cool, the videographer was super cool, so that I didn't really have any complaints about that. It was really fun. And then it was getting to the time that they wanted to do a sparkler send-off, but again, it's super cold and rainy. And I remember they said, it's pouring down rain, we can't do it. I don't think it was pouring down rain, because we went outside and it was like drizzling, but they still couldn't have done it because they did have this like covered area, which I think I have a picture of. Everyone would have to like cram under there, and it would just be really, really unsafe. So they were like, what kind of exit do we do? And so I'm so glad that I actually watched a video, and I don't remember where it is, otherwise I would link it, but they talked about sparkler exits, and that was something I was really nervous about. But they talked about, I think the bride thought the venue was providing the sparklers, but they weren't. So this photographer, he had a great idea of everybody using their phone light and have the couple run through or walk through. So that's what we did. I was like, let's just do the send off in here. We will just use phone lights. Okay, let's do it. Let's talk to the coordinator. Let's talk to the bride. And as soon as I was finished talking with the coordinator, and when we were gonna go talk to the bride, the power went out. At first, I think people thought it was a joke. Honestly, I kind of thought it was a joke. I was like, oh no, the power went out. Well, just flip the switch and go back on. But I'll tell you what, the DJ booked it out of there. Like, he sprinted out. Like, I don't know if something got wet that wasn't supposed to get wet, but the lights were off long enough for someone to say, like, is this not a joke? So I remember I was with the bride at this time, and she had a couple of drinks, and she was like, do we do the exit in the dark? And it's like, no, we can't, because there was literally no light. Okay, literally there was like some light, but really you couldn't see, and the pictures would have been really, really bad if we had not gotten those lights back on. The power didn't go out for like a really long time. It felt like a really long time, enough for people to be like, okay, what's happening? And then when the DJ like sprinted out of there, we were like, what's happening? But eventually the lights did go back on, everyone cheered, had another drink, that whole thing. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about exits now. So that was all fine. It was just kind of funny, like looking back at it, the power went out. I still don't know what happened. Maybe something got wet or tripped. I don't know. Talked to the bride, told her my idea, everyone just use their phones. We'll just run in here. Like, no one has to go outside. Everyone can be warm, all of that. And she was totally down with it. So I told the DJ, and the DJ was really amazing. And he was like, showed everyone like exactly where to start, exactly where to end, get your phone lights on. And so we did that whole thing. And I think the pictures turned out really, really good. I'm really happy with it. I was really stressed about the sparkler exit, because I've read so much about use a flash, don't use a flash, use a film light. I don't have a film light, all of that stuff. So I'm glad with how the pictures turned out, and it was a lot less stressful for myself and probably my second photographer. Yeah, I'm really glad with how they turned out. So after the wedding, I stayed with my second photographer and just took her memory cards and put them in my laptop and put them on my hard drive or external hard drive then. And the problem is we're both overshooters. So like I had 3,000 pictures and then she also had 3,000 pictures. So now I have 6,000 pictures to edit. So it took a while to get the files off of her memory cards and onto my external hard drive, but I'm so glad we did because I had the pictures day of. And I'm gonna create a whole video about like how to deliver or receive your second photographer pictures, because every single wedding I've done it differently and I just want to talk about it. Maybe we'll find the best way to do it together. That was just a really quick story time. I hope it made sense. I feel like I was all over the place, but that was my first wedding as a lead photographer. I will say I made a lot more decisions than I thought I would. I figured I would just kind of go with the timeline, or like, yes, I would have poses like and instruct people in that way, but I didn't realize I would make such big decisions like the exit or, I don't know, other things like that. Some people came to me and asked me about flowers, and people came to me and asked me about eyelashes. Like the bride wanted my opinion on her eyelashes. I don't know, I was part of so many decisions that day that I just didn't think would be part of it. And maybe it was special to this wedding, but it was kind of cool to be able to be a problem solver and, I don't want to say take control, but take control of situations. And I just appreciated the trust that the couple had in me, not only to take their pictures, but to decide things about their wedding day. I really think at the end of the day, they were just happy to be married. It really showed. They are a really sweet couple. So I hope this story time made sense. If you thought this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!